AI.Stories presents The Lost Kingdom. Chapter 1. The Discovery. Amelia gazed up at the sky, her eyes fixed on the stars above. She was an apprentice wizard, studying under the tutelage of her mentor, who was known throughout the land for his magical prowess. Amelia dreamed of becoming a powerful wizard herself, one who could use her magic to help those in need. One night, as Amelia and her mentor sat by the fire, he told her a story that would change her life forever. He spoke of the Lost Kingdom, a hidden realm full of powerful magic that had been lost to time. It was said that only the most skilled and knowledgeable wizards could find the way to this kingdom, but those who did were said to be rewarded with great power and knowledge. Amelia's heart raced with excitement at the thought of finding the Lost Kingdom. She begged her mentor to teach her everything he knew so that she might one day be able to embark on this journey. Her mentor, seeing the fire in her eyes, agreed to help her in any way he could. Over the next few weeks, Amelia immersed herself in her studies, learning everything she could about magic and the Lost Kingdom. She practiced her spells tirelessly, determined to become skilled enough to find the way to the kingdom. One day, as Amelia was walking through the forest, she heard a strange sound. She turned around to see a small fox staring at her intently. To her surprise, the fox spoke to her in a clear, human voice. "My name is Felix," said the fox. "I have been sent to help you find the Lost Kingdom." Amelia was stunned. She had never heard of a talking animal before, but she could sense a kindred spirit in Felix, and she knew that he could help her on her quest. Together, Amelia and Felix set out on a journey that would take them across mountains and through forests, encountering all manner of obstacles along the way. They searched high and low for clues that would lead them to the Lost Kingdom, determined to find the way to this magical place. As they journeyed deeper into the wilderness, Amelia felt a sense of purpose that she had never felt before. She knew that the Lost Kingdom was out there somewhere, waiting for her to discover it. And with Felix by her side, she felt unstoppable. Chapter 2. Obstacles. Amelia and Felix made their way through the treacherous mountains, their steps heavy as they trudged through the thick snow. The wind howled around them, making it difficult to see more than a few feet ahead. Amelia could feel the cold seeping through her cloak, and she shivered despite herself. "We need to find shelter," she shouted to Felix over the sound of the wind. "We can't keep going like this." Felix nodded in agreement and led the way, his nose twitching as he sniffed the air. After a few minutes, he stopped in front of a rocky outcropping that jutted out from the side of the mountain. "This way," he said, his voice muffled by the wind. Amelia followed him into the shelter of the rocks, grateful for the brief respite from the bitter cold. She rubbed her hands together, trying to warm them up. Felix huddled next to her, his fur bristling in the wind. "We need to keep moving," he said. "Valter's minions could catch up to us at any moment." "Valter? Who's Valter?" Amelia asked, looking at Felix with confusion. Felix's face grew dark. "He's a powerful sorcerer who seeks to destroy the Lost Kingdom," he said. "His minions are after us, and they won't stop until they find us." Amelia's heart raced with fear. "Why are they after us?" she asked. "Because we're the only ones who can stop him," Felix replied. "We have to find a way to avoid them and get to the Lost Kingdom before it's too late." Amelia nodded, knowing that Felix was right. She gathered her things and set out once again, with Felix leading the way. They walked for what felt like hours, their progress slow and laborious. Amelia was starting to feel discouraged when Felix suddenly stopped in his tracks. "What is it?" Amelia asked, her heart racing. Felix pointed to the top of the next hill, where a group of dark figures could be seen in the distance. "Valter's minions!" he growled. "We have to find a way to avoid them." Amelia thought quickly. They couldn't outrun them, and they couldn't fight them off alone. "We need to take a detour," she said. "Is there another way to get to the Lost Kingdom?" Felix thought for a moment before nodding. "There's a river that leads to the kingdom. It's dangerous, but it's our best chance." Amelia and Felix set out once again, this time in the direction of the river. They walked for hours, with the sound of rushing water growing louder and louder. Finally, they reached the edge of a steep cliff, where the river flowed far below them. Amelia looked down, feeling a surge of fear. The river was wide and fast-moving, with rocks jutting out of the water. "We have to cross that?" she asked, her voice trembling. Felix nodded. "It's the only way," he said. "Come on, I'll show you." Together, Amelia and Felix made their way down the steep slope, slipping and sliding on the loose rocks. When they reached the bottom, they waded into the frigid water, the current pushing against them. It was a perilous journey, but they were determined to reach the Lost Kingdom. As they made their way downstream, Felix explained more about Valtor and his evil plans. "Why does he want to destroy the Lost Kingdom?" Amelia asked, her eyes filled with concern. "Legend has it that the Lost Kingdom is home to a powerful artifact that could grant Valtor immeasurable power," Felix explained. "If he gets his hands on it, he could become unstoppable. That's why we have to stop him before it's too late." Amelia nodded, feeling a sense of determination wash over her. "What can we do to stop him?" she asked. "We have to find the Lost Kingdom before he does," Felix replied. "Only then can we protect the artifact and stop him from getting his hands on it." Chapter 3. The Lost Kingdom. As Amelia and Felix approached the entrance to the Lost Kingdom, they were met with a group of imposing, magical creatures. The creatures' eyes glowed in the darkness, and their teeth shone like razor blades. Amelia could feel Felix tense beside her. "Amelia, we must retrieve the artifact before Valtor gets his hands on it. It's imperative," he said in a low whisper. Amelia nodded, her eyes determined. She knew the gravity of their mission, and nothing would stop her from achieving their goal. One of the guards spoke. "What brings you here?" Amelia stood tall. "We seek the magical artifact that is hidden within the Lost Kingdom. It's of great importance that we retrieve it." The guards exchanged glances. "We cannot let you enter until you've proven your worth with magic." Felix and Amelia nodded in agreement, and they were led to an open area where they demonstrated their proficiency with various types of magic. Amelia used her elemental magic to conjure a fierce storm that filled the sky with thunder and lightning. Felix used his dark magic to create a shadowy barrier that repelled any attack. Together, they cast a powerful spell that created a blinding light that illuminated the entire area. The guards were impressed with their skills, and they were granted entry into the kingdom. The Lost Kingdom was beautiful but treacherous, and Amelia and Felix had to be cautious with every step they took. They were on high alert for traps and dangers, but the anticipation of finding the artifact kept them going. As they walked, they encountered creatures that lurked in the shadows. Felix's reflexes were sharp, and Amelia's magic was precise, and together they overcame each obstacle. Though suddenly, a trap sprung, and Felix and Amelia were separated. Felix was surrounded by shadowy creatures, and Amelia could hear his panicked shouts. She darted toward the sound of his voice, throwing spells at the creatures. She felt her magic crackle and fizzle as she fought, but she refused to give up. Finally, she broke through the last of the creatures and saw Felix standing in the distance, unscathed. They pressed on, encountering ancient remnants of the wizard civilization that once lived in the Lost Kingdom. They saw ancient tomes and scrolls that had been preserved for centuries, each one filled with powerful spells and incantations. Finally, after hours of searching, Amelia and Felix found what they were looking for. The artifact was a small, glowing orb that emitted a powerful aura. Felix spoke. "This is it. This is what we came for." Chapter 4. Bitter End. Amelia stood elated with the artifact in hand. "We did it, Felix!" she exclaimed. "With this, anything is possible. We can use this to stop Valtor from destroying the Lost Kingdom." "I couldn't have done it without you, Amelia," Felix said darkly. Amelia could sense a change in Felix. She turned her gaze to look at him. His fur began to stand on end, and his eyes began to glow with an eerie light. In an instant, he was taller, darker, and his eyes were filled with malice. Amelia could feel her heart pounding in her chest as Felix, or rather Walter, raised his staff, preparing to strike. She raised the artifact, channeling all of her energy into it. A bright light began to glow at the end of the artifact, and Amelia could feel the power building within her. Walter sneered, his staff raised in hand, but before he could strike, Amelia unleashed a beam of pure energy from the artifact, striking Walter in the chest. He screamed in pain and fell to the ground, his staff shattering. As Walter lay on the ground, Amelia realized the truth. Felix had never been her friend. He had been Walter all along, using her to gain access to the artifact. Amelia couldn't believe that she had been so blind. A feeling of betrayal overwhelmed her. As she made her way back to the entrance of the kingdom, she knew that she now had a duty to use the artifact for good, and that it would only be a matter of time before more monsters like Walter come seeking the power of the artifact. She vowed to never let herself be fooled again and to use her magic wisely to protect the kingdom from any who would threaten it. The end.